That big boss, less special. It ain't no game, but they saying welcome to the second level. Second level. Second level gaming. Second level.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to another Couch Conversation with myself, Tom, and my buddy Keegan. We are the Level 2 Gamers, and today we're going to be talking about mobile games and their place in the world of video games at large.
Whether they're actually games or yeah.
So, I mean, there was this weird shift. Sometime, I guess it would be mid-2000s when you started getting like the iPhone and things like that in the App Store, where suddenly games became something that were less of a stigma, almost like around the same time that like comic books.
I think the Wii U. I think the Wii U started that.
The Wii,
or that's what I meant. The Wii started that. Because it sold
definitely that.
Hundreds of millions of units.
But the Wii, I think, was after the iPhone.
No, it was
right?
pre. That's why it sold so well. Yeah, it's pre-iPhone. So the
Oh.
iPhone was 2007. The App Store was 2008, 2009, and the Wii was 2005, I think.
Wow.
So that's why it sold so well, because it didn't. That's why I think Nintendo's having issues.
The Wii
now.
is over 10 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking hell.
Yep.
Makes you feel old, doesn't it? So, basically the idea is this. Not you, no. Basically the idea is this. So you had gamers, and then the Wii came out, and the Wii made it more kind of family friendly for everyone.
Grandma was playing Wii
Grandma
Sports.
was playing Wii bowling, and everything was great. And then you would always have people with the Nokias and everything that would play the almighty Snake.
What was the other one that was on there? There was Bejeweled.
Bejeweled.
That was the big one too.
But when the App Store kind of took a hold and the phones started to be able to put out the processing power required to
became mini computers essentially.
To put out that type of content, they did start to compete with your average console games. Of course, being more accessible and largely a lot cheaper, they took
Sometimes
off very
free.
well. Yeah, if not free to play and freemium and all that kind of stuff that all kind of stems from those devices. So the idea of this conversation really is, I mean, how do you feel about it? Do you think that mobile games should be on a different plateau to regular video games? I'd like to start, if it's okay, with something that I think is kind of interesting, because we recently did a bite on a game called Adventure Capitalist. And Adventure Capitalist is a mobile game that is now on PS4. I also purchased a little while ago Tennis in Your Face, which was another mobile game. Which is another mobile game, which is basically like Angry Birds style thing where you're playing tennis. You have to hit the right angles to hit the things, etc. And of course, Angry Birds as well was one that, I mean, you can play that on everything from PlayStation to a Roku at this point.
But it went the other way.
Right. Yeah, well, that's true.
You went computer,
mobile. But the thought is that you're having these more successful mobile games now that are showing up on consoles, maybe not doing as well because the console gamer usually is looking for a different experience, but it is interesting, I think, how they've kind of infiltrated that side of things. What about you?
I think it comes down to kind of like you were saying right there, as audience. I think Nintendo has the best chance of all three to get those games and be somewhat successful. I still don't think they'll be 100% successful.
But don't you feel like Nintendo kind of kicked the puppy a little bit with that one, though, when they had their opportunity to make Mario games for mobile devices and they said no?
No, I'm not saying mobile. I'm saying mobile ports to console. I think Nintendo has the best success with that. But yeah, I agree they should make mobile games, but that's a whole different ball game. I can go into a long conversation about that one. But no, I whether I consider mobile games and like console games on the same platform, no. But Nintendo coming out with the NX, if it's what it's rumored to be, where it's this handheld thing, you plug it in, and then all of a sudden it's a full-fledged game, like, to me, that's where mobile games come hand in hand. Where it should be a smaller experience of a bigger thing.
But don't you feel like the main reason why mobile games have been as successful as they have is because they are not something you necessarily have to think about taking with you? Because, like, for example, if the NX does turn out to be this weird, like, handheld console hybrid, then you're going to have to very purposefully take that console with you, the same way that I would, let's say, take my PS Vita someplace, which is not often. But I always have my phone on me. So there is a difference there, I think.
Oh yeah, you have way more people with phones. But it's a weird conversation because it's like, is mobile gaming bad? No. Is mobile gaming good? No. I mean, it's kind of just there.
It can be.
The problem I have with mobile gaming is there's not much curation to them. They tend to be
it's oversaturated.
Shovelware goes there. I mean, there's some great
is the equivalent of the Wii library.
What's the the ninja game back in the day?
Fruit Ninja?
No, it was the one with the 3D graphics.
Mini Ninja?
No. Oh, it's gonna bug me when I can't. It's got the red outline.
3D graphic Ninja?
Yeah, no, it doesn't have ninja in the title, I don't believe. But it's one. It's gonna bug me that I can't remember the name of that. But there are games on mobile that are really well done. I'm playing Sonic CD on mobile. Like, I love Sonic CD on mobile for two reasons. One, I would probably not play that on a console nowadays because there's so many other things to do, and it's one of those games like, since it's level based and it saves, which consoles didn't do back in the day, I can pick it up, play a level or two, and then be done with
5-minute time killers.
And it's great. I mean, I've joked with Tom on many occasions having like a segment on the channel where it's like toilet gaming, where you talk about games you play on the toilet. Because let's be honest, we all play games on the toilet. Like,
I read mostly.
It's the truth.
But you can.
Yes. And I mean, there's actually apps for that, which I think is hysterical. But when it comes down to like how I view mobile gaming, I think it has its place. But I do think, as a gamer, which people make fun of me because I say I'm not a gamer, but as a gamer, I think it's not good to the industry to think them as the same thing. But I think if more developers took console games and put them on mobile versus taking mobile games and put them on console, because I think the guys who make console games actually care about it, versus the people who put on mobile, I don't say they don't care, because they do, but it's not the same level of care.
But I think there's a certain level of cash grab in those that you don't necessarily get for console games.
Because it's more expensive to make a console game. Yeah.
But
way more
like the little mobile transactions and things like that, that kind of thing. That was a disease on gaming in general, I believe. But it's kind of interesting. There are games that do transfer very well, and it almost seems like a lot of the newer, especially indie style games, things like Downwell we were talking about a little bit earlier.
Part of that's because you now have this device has enough power to run stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is back in the day, especially when it first came out, it was a lot of it seemed like, I don't want to say ports, but essentially knockoffs of older NES games and all that. And now our phones are stupid, crazy powerful, and it's getting to the point where, yes, the only problem I have with mobile gaming versus like a Vita or a 3DS is no physical buttons. And people have made adapters, and it's just again, it's another thing you got to carry. And picture answering the phone with this joystick here, and you're like, ow. So
I agree. That's always been my major turnoff for mobile gaming, as like something I do a lot, because I game a lot, but I would never game frequently on my iPhone because I hate on-screen buttons more than anything.
And it kills your battery because you need your phone. Yeah. That's the other thing.
And that is it. I mean, the phone batteries are getting better, but at the same time, it's more for me a case of like I personally just can't gel with the idea of on-screen.
Well, and this is going to sound really dumb because it's making us sound old, which we're not that old, but my brother is 8.5 years younger than I am. He basically grew up with the touch screen. Like, to him, that's normal. And I think it's because we grew up with tactile buttons and all this. It's the same thing like when the phones came out with keyboards. There's no physical keyboard. What the hell? What am I going to do? And I think eventually it'll become a non-point that there's no physical buttons.
Interesting point, that actually. I hadn't really considered it.
So it's again, I'm 25. You're what, 30?
33.
30? I was gonna guess that. I didn't know. I don't want to make you sound older than you were.
No, I think I'm 33. You know, you get to a certain age,
you just stop counting.
How old you are?
Stop counting. You celebrate the 10th anniversary of your 18th birthday.
Yeah.
But no, it's one of those where like maybe it's just us being like older people, and that's not what we grew up with. Versus, I mean, we say it about other people. We were talking earlier about like VR stuff, where this lady put a headset on and she was blown away by it, and it's something she never thought could happen, but it's because she grew up with not that.
Yeah.
And it's like same thing we grew up with.
But I do wonder if it's almost the same as, you know, how some people can use a mouse and keyboard, but they cannot use a controller, and vice versa. I'm awful with a mouse and keyboard, and kind of whether it's a similar principle of that, of whether it's just a case of the way that you interact with the game is so different that it just feels foreign and weird to me. That could potentially just be it.
Because most of the games I play on mobile tend to be like the Angry Birds style, where you're shooting something somewhere, or you're tapping left and right.
Smaller games.
Versus like I've seen people play like full-fledged games. I'm like, how the hell did you do that?
They have like MOBAs and all kinds of stuff on those now. But so, like I'd say there's also things like Apple TV, which are kind of like a nice crossover, where you now have the ability to have applications on there, and that almost feels a bit better because you are using somewhat of a controller, but people are designing it for that controller, so it's a bit of a different experience. But I don't necessarily think they are in the same world. I do have no problem people calling themselves gamers if they play mostly mobile games. I just personally think that I would put them on a different playing field to regular console games.
I mean, it's yeah. I don't have anything really. Just yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say something, and I was like, no, it didn't.
So yeah, how do you feel about it? Did you? I know a lot of our audience is younger, so did you guys? Is it because that you grew up with the touchscreen that it feels less intrusive to you, that it feels more natural? Did you grow up with games instead, like me and Keegan and controllers, and kind of is it weird for you to play games on the touchscreen and on the glass? Let us know how you feel about that in the comments below. Yeah, and as always, guys. Thanks for watching. Welcome to the second level.
I jumped the gun. Welcome to the second level.
Bye.
Bye. We do this a lot. Hey, Tom?
Yeah?
People need to subscribe to us.
They sure do, Keegan.
We have really good, my mouth is open, content. Yeah. Subscribe. Become part of the Level 2 Legion.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a kiss.
Ah! I need a note!